After such a dominant performance at the All-Star break, Dwight became one of the biggest superstars in the league, to the point where he had more endorsement deals than LeBron James. Over the next year, Dwight appeared in 7 nationally televised commercials, sold millions of shoes, and disproved the long-held notion that big men beyond Shaq can't move product. However, after the All-Star was over, Dwight was back at his day job, catching lobs and destroying rims league-wide. He helped the Magic win 52 games, the most since the Penny and Shaq era in 1996, and Orlando made the playoffs as the 3rd seed. Playing against the Raptors, Dwight posted 3 games with over 20 points and 20 rebounds, averaging 22.6 points, 18.2 rebounds, and 3.8 blocks per game, while making 63% of his shots. Even though Magic had an extremely thin bench, it didn't matter, as Dwight was such a huge difference maker, helping Orlando to win their first playoff series in 11 years. However, in the next round, the much deeper Pistons were once again too strong, and Orlando lost the series in 5 games. For the next season, even though the Magic didn't acquire any notable additions, Coach Van Gundy decided to tweak the team's tactics by ditching the traditional power forward and surrounding Dwight with 4 shooters. The Magic's system was simple, especially from today's perspective, where all 5 players on the floor can dribble, pass, and shoot. But back in 2009, it was revolutionary. Since most teams played with a center and a power forward who used to catch the ball in the post and play with their back to the basket. However, Van Gundy realized that Dwight has an enormous advantage on both sides of the floor, and that another big man that's standing in the paint was not just unnecessary, but also hurting the team's spacing. Instead, Dwight was the only Magic player operating in the paint, surrounded by 4 shooters who spread the floor. This gave more room for Dwight to score, but it also freed up other Orlando players who could cut into open space and wait for a 3-point shot after Howard got doubled. So defenses had to pick their poison, and all of it lethal. If they double-teamed Howard, he could hurl the ball to a dangerous 3-point shooter. And if they crowded the Magic's 3-point shooters, Orlando typically enjoyed a mismatch on the interior. Defensively, the Magic didn't suffer, because Dwight was the best defensive player in the league, who could swallow up opposing guards when they dared to come through the paint, thanks to his unreal lateral quickness and vertical athleticism we've never seen before from a center.
I've never seen people afraid. Like, yo, we not going into there until get subbed out.
On January 13, 2009, the Magic set an NBA record by making 23 three-pointers in a game against the Kings, with 9 players making at least 1 three-pointer in the 139-107 win. Since the league introduced the three-point line in 1979, only 1 team made more than 23s in a game, and it would take 10 years for somebody to break the Magic's record, showing that they were ahead of their time. The Magic attempted 26 threes per game that season, which was second in the league, and would be dead last in 2025 when the league average was 37 attempted threes, while the Celtics attempted a whopping 48 three-pointers. So it wasn't like the Magic played completely modern, they just realized the power of Dwight, who was unstoppable on both ends of the floor. Howard averaged 20.6 points per game, which wasn't a lot even by the slow-paced standards of that era, when only 20 players in the league averaged over 20 points per game, and Dwight ranked 18th in scoring. One could argue that Dwight's post moves were robotic and predictable, and those people would be correct, as Howard's footwork was miles away from Hakeem Olajuwon or even Shaq. But the mere presence of Dwight made all the difference in the world for the Magic. Because he was the biggest lob threat in the NBA, opposing big men had to be glued to Dwight, which meant that other Magic players could drive to the paint virtually unbothered. Also, Dwight collected 4.3 offensive rebounds per game, which led the league, and that provided enormous value for Orlando in second chance points, even when they didn't score.